everybody. Welcome to the NBA Daily. I'm Dave DuFour here with Es Baraheni. We're joined by James Edwards, who covers the Knicks. We're live in Vegas. NBA Cup championship between the Knicks and Spurs tonight.
Yes. The ultimate respect the cup moment.
That's right. Do you respect the cup? James?
Yeah.
Do you respect the cup?
I don't. Because let me get this out. My biggest issue with the cup is the propaganda around it, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know if you guys get these tweets or see these tweets as somebody that covers a team and routinely is like, I think this is pointless. I see these tweets. It's the propaganda of the league admitting that their regular season product in their eyes isn't good enough. So we have to create this whole thing. That's an issue to me. Like, you shouldn't, if your regular season isn't what you want it to be, then let's fix it in a way that let's shorten the season.
Yeah, okay, but we know the reasons why. Like, no one wants to make less money,
right? Okay,
and so you've got this number of games that you got. Although that may change because the regional networks are going to go away, and so you're not selling the same packages.
100%. They're not going to reduce 82 games though,
but
they should.
I agree with you. Number one, 82 game season. Like, we talk about this all the time. The value of each game is so low. This is what, college football has this great thing where one bad week and you're out of it. And, I do think like the NBA misses out on that. It's one of the reasons why the cup to me is good, because basketball at its best is single elimination tournament.
Yeah.
The March Madness. And so you get a little bit of that here.
Right.
I would actually, and I got an idea here.
Cook.
It's not to fix the cup. I actually think the cup is good. It's the regular season that's the problem. Okay.
From what standpoint? It's just too long.
It's too long.
Okay.
And we talk all the time about how many games, how many minutes all these guys have to play.
Yeah.
So what if you do reduce the season to 58 games? Let's say it's a home and away for everybody. It's a balanced schedule, which we talk about often. I wouldn't get rid of conferences because I actually think it feels like sports to have.
You're living in a utopia.
Yeah. I am.
Let's get rid of divisions yesterday, though.
Division's fine, but conferences, whatever. But to me, you use the NBA Cup as a preseason warm-up tournament, and you do it in a way that actually encourages teams to play all of their guys, if not at least 10. 25-minute player limits per guy, 3 games a week. Yeah. Expand the elimination tournament part of it out.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And then you have your championship game. Maybe you do it in a neutral site. I don't know. But you have your championship game. And then, you do that a week before Christmas.
Yeah.
And then you kick off the regular season at Christmas with the 58 game schedule. Number one, guys have time to get totally conditioned for the arduous actual regular season.
I like this idea. It's a great idea.
It's a great way to introduce rookies. You get to build up these guys.
Build up hype for the season.
The G League does this already.
Right.
They have their tip-off tournament, which is like a month and a half of the season. And then exactly like the NBA Cup, they go to Orlando. They play a showcase tournament, quarterfinals, semifinals, etc. And that's how they do their tournament. And it starts the season. Christmas is when the season starts.
Yeah. And that fixes 2 birds, 1 stone, right? Like, because it's not.
They won't ever do this, by the way.
Well, of course not. But you're actually able to serve the cup and tournament part, which is fun. And then you get a better regular season, in my opinion.
I like this a lot. I think that's a really good take. I think the season needs to be shortened. But the other thing that I have an issue with is, again, I keep bringing up the word propaganda. There's this notion that like the league itself is admitting, which isn't true, that the regular season needed a little bit more of importance.
That guys try harder.
That's just not true. Guys don't try. Guys don't try harder, and maybe at this stage because they made it to the end. But leading up to this, guys play hard every single night. I told you guys before, like the Knicks and Magic played 2 better games in the semifinals the other night, which wasn't even that, like you said, Dave, wasn't even that good of a game. Nobody played defense
was any good
for a quarter and a half.
It seemed like a game where the teams were like, if we win, we win.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. We're here already. We won money already.
Right.
But that's my thing. Like, it's just so disrespectful to the game I love. Like, there are really good games on Tuesday night in the middle of November. There's really good games on Wednesday night in the middle of December.
Yeah.
You don't need to say that, act like this when the court's colored, that the players play harder. That's not true.
Especially for a team like the Knicks that has gone to the conference finals at this point, and they're pretty locked into their group. They've had playoff experience like this.
You can't fake that intensity.
Right.
Yeah, you can't fake that.
This doesn't add anything to that.
And OKC San Antonio was going to be an intense game no matter what.
Regardless.
The next one on the 23rd of December is going to be intense.
And Christmas.
And Christmas Day is going to be intense. Those teams are intense.
The Knicks Raptors for the winner to go to Vegas wasn't intense.
Right.
Unfortunately not.
Well, the Raptors haven't played. Right. The Raptors haven't played well. And they've been.
Well, they were
but that's my point. Yeah. It's like, so people pick and choose because it's a good game. I told you they play harder.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the NBA. There's good games every night.
Let me ask you this.
Just happened to be a cup game this night.
What do you think about the schedule aspect of it? Because you talked about Knicks Raptors. Yeah. Raptors now had 2 games in 10 days after they got eliminated. They basically won by losing.
Yes.
How do you feel about that aspect of the NBA Cup?
So that's something I've been like intertwining throughout my Knicks talk as of late, because obviously I've been on the road with the Knicks. This trip started in Toronto.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They came to Vegas. They had to be out here Thursday night for media on Friday, so that they went home for a half a day. I just came straight to Vegas.
Yep.
And then after this, now that they've made the final, whether they win or lose, it doesn't matter. They have to play in Indy on Thursday, and then they play in New York on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking, So not only do they play 83 regular season games, this team went to Abu Dhabi in the preseason. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to check this, but I can't imagine that at this point will a team have ever. I can't imagine a team has ever traveled as much because the cup is new.
Right.
So they've had to do 2 cross country flights.
Right.
Well, they'll have to do 2. They went to Abu Dhabi. And
that automatically boosted.
Yeah. Right. Because I think there and back to Abu Dhabi, I think NBA teams average like 40,000 miles a season. Mm-hmm. I think Abu Dhabi there and back is almost 40,000 or close to it, or maybe a quarter of 4. Maybe it's 10 or 12,000.
It's probably
but that's a
40,000 is like
we're going to
navigate. I'm sorry.
I've been a couple times.
It's been a long 10 days.
Do it like Superman and go in the opposite direction. You get that day back.
Right. Well, my point is a quarter of that was done for the Knicks in a week in the preseason.
Yeah.
So the travel's insane. Like, if you're the Raptors or any other team that's not here, one of the 4 teams that wasn't here, like you're probably looking at this like
you get a little bit of a benefit.
Yeah, there's a benefit there.
Before, but like
the
slump after getting right? Yep. You get that hit.
We're going to be watching for this. I mean, the teams coming out of the championship game, we've seen them kind of have a swoon right after. Part of it also could just be that there is a little bit of intensity in a single elimination game, regardless of whether it means more or not. They're playing for money. Mm-hmm. They're here. Mm-hmm. So maybe there's some of that. I don't know, but I think the scheduling part of this, like it's got to change.
Yeah.
And one big change that they're going to make next year is only the final will be in Vegas.
That's going to be huge.
I think that's going to be better. That game, if it's in Orlando, or if it's in MSG,
that is just one.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be here.
I agree
that's unfair.
It should be a home game
it should be in the middle of the country.
But just put it in like
or Chicago,
Oklahoma City,
Chicago, Oklahoma City.
What about
I wouldn't mind going to Michigan.
How about like St. Louis
for no reason whatsoever?
Could you do St. Louis?
You could do
Omaha, Nebraska.
But
basketball town.
Like
USA.
Why did the Knicks and Magic have to fly across the country? And San Antonio and Oklahoma City can take a bus.
Well, it's logistics, right?
Right, but. Right.
Oh,
it's not. It's
that's
not
Andrew Schlecht from outside.
It is not a foregone conclusion.
Well,
but it should be regardless. It should be in the middle of the country.
Yeah,
like that's the league is talking about like travel and health. So you're making 2 teams fly from the bottom part of the country across and from the tip of the one side to the other almost. And it's like, come on. Well, there's a lot of places in the middle.
All right. Should we talk about the Knicks a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. We've basically arrived at the point where we feel like they're the best team in the East.
We also recently talked about this with you.
The front runner to make it, I think, out of the East come playoff time.
Yeah.
What do you feel is different about this team from last year with Tom Thibodeau and now to Mike Brown? Like, what's been the biggest change for this season?
I think it's really weird because I actually wrote this today. I talked to 4 or 5 NBA head coaches what they think the difference is between the 2 teams. And if you look at the pace isn't any different. If you look at paint touches, it's not any different. You look at offensive rating, it's not any different. Mm-hmm. They were top 5 with Tibbs. They're top 5 with Mike. They were top 15 in defense at this point with Tibbs. They're top 15 with Mike. I do think there is a little bit more movement. Even though they're not playing faster, it feels like there is more movement.
Yeah.
even though I do think lately they've reverted back to like more Brunson, Cat pick and roll. And listen, they're two of the best offensive players in the world, I think. And I wrote this. Jalen's the best scorer, pound for pound basketball. It's very divisive, but I think he's top 5. So I think it's worth having.
I
would
have probably put Shea above him, but
totally
that's
fine. Yeah,
pound for pound, though. I mean,
that's right. Inch for inch.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what we think about, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
so they're shooting a lot of threes, which is the biggest difference.
Yes.
They're shooting a lot of threes. And they're playing like this gap help defense where guys like OG and Mikal it suits their strengths a little bit more. And I mean, I think too, Josh Hart shooting the 3 ball the way he does allows that starting 5 to work in a way that it didn't work last year.
What happened there? Did he get a secret surgery that we just didn't know about?
His finger is still mashed.
It's mangled.
This makes no sense.
Yeah.
Because it was awful.
It's still, he said it does feel better.
His fingers look like Lionel Hollins.
And he can't miss right now.
They got a shooting coach, which it was his request. I wrote that. If you want to check that out, I wrote that recently.
Plug talk.
The first conversation he had with Mike Brown, he's like, I want a shooting coach, somebody who's going to work with us every single day. So
then how did Mikal Bridges wind up with this triple hitch that he's got? And I know he's making shots, but when you watch him shoot, like we were watching. I
feel like that's a practice thing.
Okay, might be.
It is in practice. He did, So he does shoot with the hitch when he's warming up, but it goes away in the games. Okay. It is but that was the issue last year.
So he's doing an intentional thing there.
Is there a reason for that? Did he say anything?
He's talked about, I forget. He's talked about it before, but he'd shot with the hitch last year and he couldn't make anything above the break.
Yeah.
But the hitch goes away when the game starts. I think maybe it's for him. It's just like making sure the mechanics are good and like going through like, I think of it like kind of like a lever, like you're like a stick shift kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, that is a thing. Like when we got back this year, I was like, oh, the hitch looks still there, but as soon as you start playing, you don't really see it.
Yeah. I mean, he's shooting the lights out.
Yeah, he is. Same with OG.
And that also helps. I mean, their offense looks, there is not much of a structural difference outside of shooting more threes, but they're making so many more shots.
I think there's one, and I'm curious to see if this actually tracks with the data.
Yeah.
Passing. Like the amount of passes they do per possession in the half court feels a little bit more.
It does. I don't think it's that much different. I'll check that. Because I did check it the other day, but I can't remember. I don't think it was enough for me to include it in the story.
Are they cutting more?
No, that's the other thing. They're not cutting more. I just think it's early movements, like a lot of DHOs. Jalen, he's dribbling. I did these stats. He's dribbling a second less than he, like when he has the ball. I think he's dribbling like 4.8 seconds.
Right, so he's moving off it a little bit.
Yeah, and he's less dribbles per time he has the ball, right? He's playing a little bit more off ball. And that's another thing too. I think we forget, like when we talk about this guy's a great scorer, like we don't necessarily like, oh, but he's also a tremendous shooter. Like Jalen off the ball, like he's shooting 3 catch and shoot threes per game. He only shot 1.9 last year. He's one of the best shooters in the NBA. Like that helps when you can get 100%. A guy who can shoot that well, more shots where it's not off the dribble too. So that's been beneficial.
Well, and again, like the way that this team is set up, you have just enough other ball handling. Cat can handle and is a pretty good passer. And then what Mike Brown's offense does actually change is that they run so much stuff that's coming off the elbow.
Yeah, the handoff stuff.
The handoff,
but also the cuts off the elbow, split actions and stuff. Yeah. That was something that just wasn't there last year. It was like high ball screen or nothing.
Yeah, I agree. It's not too different from last year. It's just a couple of different wrinkles.
They're doing more read and react.
A little bit more variety, right? Yeah. Just a little bit to make it more dynamic than it was last year.
Yeah. 2 additional potential assists this season.
Really? Okay. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah. So I think it's just a combination of, I think they're moving the ball side to side more, like with the DHOs. Like, so that's one thing Mike talked about. He said they hadn't put in plays until maybe like 3 days before the start of season. And there's a lot of read and react stuff. And I think a lot of that is they're going to put in plays. They know what they're going to run. It's going to look similar. But when that stuff doesn't work, the guys know what they're supposed to do. They know where to relocate.
Yeah, there's a flow to it.
Yeah, I think that's just the biggest thing. I don't think they're playing faster. Statistically, they're not. But I do think if you wanted to say that it feels like they're moving more, if that makes sense. Like I think you can kind of tally that up under playing faster. Like there's in the half court, it feels like they're just moving a little bit more, and maybe not as of late, because I do think they have reverted back to some of the last year's ways. But again, it's not like last year's team was chop liver.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you think they match up against the Spurs? Because obviously it would have been cool to see them against the Thunder. Potential finals preview. I don't know how you feel about the Spurs, but not everybody's assuming they're going to be a finals team. Right. Maybe Dave is.
They've been really good.
I can't assume it.
I feel like matchup wise, defensively, it's pretty similar though, because they got a lot of wings that can guard. Obviously, Wemby in the back line. How do they match up?
So I think there's a couple things here that I'm fascinated to see. The Knicks, since I say we hit the 15 game mark, haven't really played a great team. Yeah. They have yet to play a top 5 team in the West. They haven't played any of those teams, and they have yet to play Detroit. Orlando's a good team that they've blasted. Or they didn't blast, but they've beat. Yep. They're 2-2 against them on the season. They haven't played Detroit yet. Boston blasted them the other day. They've beaten Toronto, who is, again, they've slipped and they've been injuries. So
for sure,
this is probably the best team that they'll have faced all season. Yeah. Like even just record wise. And now that Wemby's back, I'm curious to see with them. San Antonio has so many good on-ball defenders and playmakers. And I think one thing with the Knicks is their biggest hole on offense is they don't have enough guys who in the half court, I think, can like break their guy down off the dribble and get into the paint and kick out. And that's why I think you see struggles with the offense when they're playing against aggressive switchable teams. And that was an issue last year. And I think
that still ends up being
it'll show itself this year. They just haven't really played those type of, like Miami.
Oh, it's going to show itself tonight. Yeah. The Spurs, I mean, that guard rotation, the way that they can guard.
Yes.
Obviously Wemby is a whole different thing.
Also, on the other side, like teams are still going to go at Brunson, still going to go at Cat, even though
the Spurs have guys who can get into the paint.
They got 3 guards that get 2 feet in the paint.
Yep.
Yeah. This is, to me, the Knicks this is a measuring stick game for the Knicks to see where they're at. Yeah. Way more than it is for the Spurs, because our expectations of the Spurs have already been outstripped, 100%. Right? And there's this freedom that the Spurs are allowed to play with in a game like this. And I wonder, like, what does that like look like? This game is a throwaway for both teams, right? They of course want to win because you know competitive. Yeah. But is there a thing where maybe the Knicks might put too much pressure on themselves to win this game? Like who are you picking? Who are you picking?
Yeah. Do they raise the banner at MSG?
Yeah.
What's going on?
They got to put it up.
I think it's
against the law.
I think didn't the league make the Lakers put it?
They did make them. Yeah. They're definitely going to put it up.
Yeah. They haven't won anything in a while, so I definitely think that. No, I'm not trying to be funny.
No, they should. They should put it up. Yeah. Why not?
It's hard to say because I haven't seen the Knicks. The offense looks amazing.
Yeah.
A lot. But I just haven't seen them play against a team like this yet, like a legitimate title contending level team.
See this?
So title contending.
Well,
we're here already.
But listen, if we put the Spurs in the East, I think we would all say that
they would be a top 3 team
in the East, right? So I think it's fair to say that for them. Their issue is that they go against the best team
playing
right. So I don't know who's going to win. I hate to use that cop out answer, but I definitely think that what's fascinating to me, and I'll probably end up writing this if the Knicks were to lose, and kind of just how not unfortunate it is, but the Knicks finally get back to like this place of relevancy and where they're able to compete potentially for a title. And then over there in the West, there's maybe the greatest team we've ever seen, and then maybe the greatest player we've ever seen. And it's like,
and by the way, like Cooper Flag is there too.
Yeah, it's like
whatever.
Yeah. Right? Like this season, and again, the cup isn't anywhere of the equivalency of the NBA Finals, but like this season for the Knicks almost feels like it's now or it might not happen.
I think a lot of teams feel that way.
Yeah,
because even the Thunder aren't perfect.
Or if it doesn't happen, and then you got to consider making the big trade,
the big Giannis trade.
Like if I were the Knicks, I'm not doing it in season. They've shown enough that they could make it to the finals potentially with the group that they have. Now, if they get blasted, or maybe even if they get blasted against the Spurs, maybe that changes how the front office thinks. It's like, okay, we're here to win championships, not get to the finals. And if we just can't compete with the 5th best team in the West, like, is it going to be a long night, long year, a long few years for us in that realm? So it's good to always be in the conversation, but when you fire Tibbs and publicly say, like, we're here to win championships, you have to hold yourself to that standard.
There's a difference. If you look at like every era of basketball, there's the Houston Rockets with James Harden,
right?
The almost team, right?
Yep.
In the 90s, it was Jordan,
always
Drexler, Portland Trailblazers teams, right? There's always an almost team. For the Knicks, it's like, you got to be careful. You're not the almost team.
Yeah, that's a great point. Great point.
I mean, it's just tough. Like, again, the 5 best teams in basketball
are all
in the West. Yeah. So, how do you even...
Can you guys imagine if this game was in MSG? Wemby versus the Knicks in MSG for the finals for the NBA Cup. That's the way it should have been.
I agree. Yeah. This is for...
You could have stayed home too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This is, but it's for the fans, right? Like,
yeah.
So why are we depriving... Like, you're going to ask fans to fly across the country or whatever to take in sick days. Like, I don't know. It's propaganda, man.
We respect the cup, but yes, it's valid to switch. This is, I agree. James Edwards, thanks, man. I know you got to get out of here.
It's always great to see you guys in the flesh.
Go and read him at The Athletic. Always a pleasure.
Love you guys.
All right, and we're back. And through the magic of the internet, we now have Jared Weiss in James Edwards' seat. I'm going to start with the same question that we had for James. How do you feel about the cup?
Amazing. James is out of his mind if he doesn't love the cup.
Yeah, he does not like the cup.
No.
I don't get it. James is like, I think James has a great record of quality takes and somehow has completely thrown the whole thing out the window now with this take, because the NBA Cup is great. I understand the concerns that it's propaganda. Sometimes you make really good propaganda. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love the court thing.
Top Gun is a good example, right?
Exactly.
This is Top Gun.
I literally was walking around the casino today, windmill high-fiving people. They didn't understand why, but you know what? You should watch a movie again. Yeah. The NBA Cup is a bunch of glitz and glamour and putting bells and whistles on stuff, and people get annoyed by it. I'm like, well, why don't we just like do something different for once? Like, let's make it interesting.
His thing is, he thinks a lot of people assume that players play harder in the NBA Cup than in the regular season.
Well, at least that's a story that we're kind of fed.
It's devaluing the regular season by putting up the NBA Cup.
Wow, have we ever had a discussion about whether people take the regular season seriously? Has that come up at all? Yeah, it was the only thing. Podcasters like us built an empire on that one conversation over the past decade. Yeah. You know, lives of millionaires have been crowned on that conversation.
Okay, it was a different podcast, right?
I don't know how long you're investing. And so, like, the league responded with this, and it's cool because it's different. Like, even if you don't love it, it's different. And I've been asking players, do you care about the money? And they're like, oh yeah, I care about the money. It's because they finally at least made it enough of a purse. They're getting paid serious money. Like,
now I find the money part of it boring, but the games themselves are fun.
But it gives the incentive.
Single elimination is fun.
Nobody's supposed to care about the money. It's just to make sure the players do. And people like talking about money. They're trying to figure out, why do the players care?
They care because the young guys also get a good money, right? And the two-way guys. The 13th guy on the bench, etc. That's who they're playing for in this moment.
Well, I've had multiple conversations with Keldon Johnson about whether David Jones Garcia should buy a Lambo Urus truck with his money. Which I think his prize money would be like the exact MSRP for a Lambo. So we'll see if we can get him a good deal. But to make the actual point, between the courts, obviously here, what we're here for, like we're recording a pod in the hotel in Vegas because of this. And we wouldn't do this if people weren't interested, but people actually are interested. It's cool that we can create these special moments throughout the season. And people now think that it doesn't mean anything because it doesn't have a tradition. Tradition has to start at some point. You have to build tradition over time. Do you think, do we really think that people sorry, I'm going to keep ranting because this is just, I'm really passionate about it. In 1874, do you think the first fans at the English FA Cup were like, wow, can you imagine all the photos that we're going to tweet out 150 years from now about being here at the first? No, they were like, we're at a game.
Right.
Yeah.
We're at a game. And then over time, it becomes the cup. And it becomes something meaningful.
Yeah, rivalries get created. There's heritage.
The Pacers-Bucks stuff from last year. Also, something else that maybe got lost in the shuffle. The Pacers really started to figure out who they were. I would argue in this arena that's like right behind us.
And the Spurs might be doing that right now.
100%. I mean, let's go ahead and get to the Spurs. I am maybe going off the rails with the Spurs. I can't put a ceiling on where they're going to be because Victor Wembanyama is such an anomaly. You've watched this team over the course of this season so far. I mean, Dylan Harper's played, 15 games? And the guy looks like he's been in the league for 5 years.
Yeah, they call him a veteran.
Yeah. What was going on with the development curve of this team? And why do they feel like we went from saying, oh, they're going to make the play-in this year to like, are they going to be a home court team in the West? What's happening?
It's funny. I asked De'Aaron Fox about that before the game on Tuesday. Or what's today, Monday? I don't even know what day it is. It's NBA Cup, baby. Yeah. And I asked him about that specifically because when we were asking all the Spurs players before the season, what's your expectation? They were all like, play-in, playoffs. Victor was the one that made waves where he said 6th seed.
Right.
And that was like, we were like, really, buddy? You sure about that? You sure about that? He was probably underselling it, as we can tell, right? Like he was sure about that. And his injury was a blessing in disguise for this team, which is crazy to say.
They figured out how to play without him.
They finally played. That was the offense that they were talking about playing from the beginning.
Yeah.
He was the problem. Having one of the best players in the world, that was what was holding them back from being a great team.
Right.
And so now that they have finally done that, this is a joke, I'm bringing it around, which is that now that they have him, and they're able to understand how their spacing works, how their timing works, how they want to push. Everybody has more confidence because they've gotten more reps. Now they can put that all together. And their next month or two is about finding the synergies between the way they can slow things down and play over the top with Victor and the way they can keep things moving, playing through guys like Fox and Harper and Castle. And that's not going to happen overnight. And the fact that they at least were good enough to beat the Thunder, where they're like just trying to figure out what is our real true identity here, shows why you just can't put a ceiling on this team. Because the possibilities are too good.
They're also such a unique team because their guards are the guys putting pressure on the rim consistently, but it's Wemby that's the perimeter oriented player who's like still trying to get into the paint and work in the post more often. But it's unique compared to even what you see in modern basketball right now. It's the guards that are putting pressure versus the big that's playing on the outside. Is that also something that they have talked about before?
Yeah, well, I think these last 2 years we're kind of in the middle of an anti-spacing movement almost where, teams are no longer trying to spread out as wide as humanly possible.
Pinch in more.
Yeah. And it's a good reminder that every time there's a movement in the league and people are like, this is how it's supposed to be done.
Right.
Remember, that is not the only answer. Life is cyclical. Strategy 100%. Is cyclical. It will come back around.
You've got to zag when everybody's zigging. And it depends on your roster too, right? And this team is just so unique because you have, the guard rotation that they've got. You've got these 3-point guards that always get their 2 feet in the paint. Mm-hmm. You've got these wing shooters who are just willing. I mean, Devin Vassell is going to get the shot up if he's open. And now you have Wemby, who is himself it's like Shaq and Steph Curry had a baby. And now you plug that in with these guys who get to you think about this. When they get 2 feet into the paint and he's the release valve from 3 and he's shooting the ball the way he does. I mean, this is almost unguardable in the half court. How do you feel about like just the way that they defend and even where Wemby makes mistakes? The guards themselves, they're so good up front. Like, how do you feel that holds up when we get playoff time? Like, is this going to be one of the better defenses we see?
I think so. Just because Wemby he eliminates your margin for error or he widens it. I never understand how that metaphor works, but he gives you, he widens it. He gives you a giant margin for a 7'5" margin for error. Yeah. And so, their approach generally has been high press up by the half court line, getting underneath you. They're not trying to trap you so much as they're just trying to pick you up high because they know that they can guard. If guards want to press at half court, usually the counter is the screener is like 30 feet up, like really, really high up. Right. Yeah. And we saw that in the finals a ton last year.
A lot of step up screens for Shea. Yeah.
And so the vulnerability there is lots of step up threes for your ball handler. But when Wemby is in drop coverage and he's sitting underneath that, he's going to be in range. And so they're never going to get comfortable. And so then your big is so far out that he can't really roll into the play. He's too far out. Yeah. So I think they're going to get more and more aggressive. Victor's going to get better and better and better with his positioning. And the challenge for him is, can he get better at positioning himself early in possessions and actions that he doesn't have to move as much, doesn't have to recover as much. Because we've seen so many times where a lot of his best plays are he's screwed up, he's in the wrong position, and then he just like reaches behind him and he just stuffs the shot. Yeah. And he's done that a lot of times. There's a lot of games they would have lost, but he pulled it off. And that's what makes him just unprecedented.
I also if you look at Wemby in general, I was talking to these guys about it earlier, but it's easy to say he has the full package, but he's quotable, right? He's willing to go there with the pure ethical basketball comment that he made. He plays a unique brand of basketball. He obviously brings in a crowd. This is the future face of the NBA very easily, right?
Yeah, we were looking at Ant as being that guy a couple of years ago because his energy was so infectious. His trash talking was so exciting. And now we're starting to see Victor doing that.
Yeah.
And he's going to be, I don't know how much better he's going to be than Anthony Edwards, but he's probably going to be better than Anthony Edwards. I don't know if he's there already.
He's going to wind up being better than everyone. And maybe ever.
Yeah.
So
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he is the complete package for sure. Because he is as insightful as he is entertaining.
Yeah.
It's been kind of recent and new that he's, at least in my experience, that he's starting to take the bait on some of this more
play more
drama stuff. Yeah. He's like not afraid to talk his talk.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was just watching the clip of when Chet missed a free throw at the end and he went quiet. I was like, wow, this guy's a killer. Like, that's the thing, is because he's so quiet. In general, we haven't seen his full personality come out as much over the years. Now it's really starting to show. And now that they're winning for the first time, we're seeing his competitive nature come out, and it's way more extroverted than I expected. And that's the thing that we're going to really find out over the course of the year if he's going to be the face.
They started 5-0. And do you remember when, the way he reacted to the best start in Spurs history, which feels crazy that it's 5-0, but he reacted like it meant something to him to win the first 5 games of the season. And it's because it's so easy for us to forget already, because we're expecting him to be one of the greatest ever, that he has really not had much success in the NBA yet, including, and the injury stuff has also been a part of this. So there's a little bit of, it's not even failure to launch. It's like delayed launch for him to a certain degree. And I wonder if he kind of feels like, okay, I get to take the robe off and really go for it now.
I think that's what the blood clot was for him last year. Was he was like, I'm now good enough that we can win some games, and we're close enough to making the play-in that we can actually get to the playoffs and get some real experience. And he had it taken away from him. And then he had to spend 6 months just sitting there being like,
I can't do it,
man. He's just kind of growling, basically, right? Like, he's chomping at the bit. You know, we were writing when the season started about his offseason workout. He was working out like he was about to win a championship game every time he walked in. Like, the guy's out of his mind. I had people telling me that they've never seen somebody work as hard as him. And he's the biggest dude ever. Like, that's how you get to the top of the top. That's how you're not Sean Bradley. I was trying to think of a better example. Like,
Sean Bradley was a good player.
Sean Bradley was good, actually. But he was a good player. Sure. Sean Bradley's the guy that 30 years later we're like, he's a good player. He's a good player.
He's a good player.
Bull.
Thank you. There you go.
There we go. Who was just as good as him, according to Shaq, right?
Yeah.
And this is the difference between, and I don't know much about Bull's work ethic. He's a nice guy, I've met him before, so I don't know. But obviously injuries were a part of it. And Schlecht's throwing shade from behind the camera. But Bull versus Wemby, a huge part of it is not just are you lucky enough to stay healthy? Like, you have to put the work in to stay healthy. You have to be an animal with how you develop. And you look at Victor, he is 21 and he's already turning into a Jokic-style playmaker.
To be fair, though, we're seeing the culmination of what has been a lifelong project for the people in his life to get him ready for this.
Yes.
Right.
But you also talk about the trash talk. Yesterday, someone asked him, they're like, hey, do you feel you're doing your most to be able to stay healthy? And he's like, of course, there's nothing else I could possibly do to stay healthy. You see him battling in the post before he subs on, the weird pre-workout stuff he does.
Yeah, where they're slapping him.
Yeah,
you guys saw that?
Honestly,
yeah.
Activation, muscle activation.
It's extremely physical for a warm-up with your coaches. I mean, I watched a coach actually put him on the ground in the warm-up, not on purpose, but he hit him hard enough that he kind of fell over, lost his balance. That is incredibly physical warm up, but I'm assuming that they were testing him. Can you go on that calf? How are you feeling today? Because I mean, he comes off the bench, and that was a little bit of a surprise for us in the game, right? What did you think about the way that he came in and immediately just he had 2 offensive rebounds, a defensive rebound, a putback, and an assist in his first 40 seconds.
9-0 run. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, one, just looking at the black and white between how the team performed with him and without him around that sequence was fascinating. They really struggled when he wasn't out there. Yep. It seemed to me that their plan, which was interesting because we never see guys like the big stars returning not come in till the second quarter.
Right.
We were all I guess it's not happening. Everybody thought it was some sort of game they were playing or something like that. And they mapped it out perfectly so that he could play the length and frequency of the stints they wanted so that he got to close out the game. And of course he was the one that was the big guy at the end. So it worked out. And I think for him in that early stint, he was just I think my touch is going to be off. My conditioning is going to be a little bit off. Can I just get to the rim and just affect the rim? Because the one thing he can do is he can stand there and just hold a bunch of people off and just hit the ball to somebody.
Yeah.
And he, no matter what is going on in this game, he can always at least smack the ball out of the air towards somebody. And so that's how you get warmed up. That's how you get into the game. He doesn't usually, from what I can think of off the top of my head, he doesn't usually start trying to hit turnaround jumpers and stuff like that. Yeah. He tries to start in motion. He tries to start with post-ups with the intention of getting off of it. Or they just let other people kind of open the game up, and he's just trying to make a difference there. Because you want him in control of the ball to be the second thing you go to, so that when the opponent thinks they're in a rhythm, that's when you go to the thing that they can't handle.
Non-Wemby question, because it's been a lot.
Non-Wemby answer.
The Wemby pod.
Wemby's awesome. Number 1 overall pick. Expectations through the roof. Dylan Harper, very good. Awesome. Expectations through the roof with that guy. We clearly going to be a great player. Steph Castle, though, rookie of the year, I think he's stepped up in such a major way for them. And I know he was hurt for a little bit too, but the 2-point efficiency is through the roof this season compared to last year. What have you seen from Steph kind of like taking that next step in his career?
I think I owe Steph an apology, because I think when I came on this show before the season, I questioned whether he was really going to be like an all-star caliber player.
Yeah.
I was dead wrong. Apologies, Steph. I mean, clearly he's on that track.
Yeah.
His, his motor is not a surprise. Like, he's got an insane motor. His athleticism is very Dwayne Wade-esque with the way he just hangs in the air. He's got a lot of D Wade to his game, frankly.
Finishing is really
yeah. And I think D Wade's going to be calling that game, right? Or did he call last game? Yeah. So
I think so.
I'm really interested to see what he has to say about Steph. But the big thing with him is he's showing more patience and control, because these guys who are just like bat out of hell kind of players, a lot of the time they kind of hit a low ceiling because they just never can refine it. They can never evolve out of it. Kind of like the Russell Westbrook syndrome, where it's like, Russ, as great of a player as he is, his kind of downfall has been that he can't really get out of his own way, right? He can only play at one speed most of the time, and he's still one of the best players ever, even at that speed. And so Steph, I think, is showing his patience and his deceleration, and not just like his like specific moves, but just the way he thinks of his role in the game, I think is fitting into and meshing into the overwhelming amount of talent that they have on this team.
Ball handling.
Yeah.
Man. Another ball handler, like 3 guards to be able to create for you is something you just need in the modern NBA.
And his shooting improvement has been huge for them. I mean, if the shooting sticks, it's massive. And with these guys and the way that they penetrate, all of them are going to be getting great looks. I think this is going to become such a good shooting team because of the penetration and obviously Wemby, the gravity. All right, we got to wrap, but before we go, all right, games tonight. Knicks Spurs could be a finals preview if we're going to go crazy. I love that you're
making that a thing.
I'm trying to make it a thing just to drive Andrew nuts. But who are you picking? Who's going to win the game? Spurs or Knicks?
I guess I'm picking the Spurs, and it's not even like a bias thing. It's just like they just beat the Thunder, and Wemby was good, but not even great in that game. And he's got a few more days to get ready. And just like their downhill speed, I think will go well against the makeup of that Knicks defense, because the Knicks defense is good at taking away passing gaps. But like those are 3 guys that can dribble in circles around. So it's not just like, like I covered the Celtics for a long time, and the Knicks defense was really tough for them because Brown and Tatum, they wanted to hit the gap 1-2 step and get off of it. All 3 of those Spurs guards will be able to dribble all the way through those gaps. Yeah, I think. I know, we'll see. And then of course, just like the Cat versus Wemby battle. Like I don't know today who has that advantage. I think eventually Wemby has that advantage. Cat's been playing phenomenally a lot of these games here, but like I think that pulling Cat out of the paint, which Wemby is going to do, and letting those guards just get downhill, that's just going to open up so many kickouts for threes for the Spurs. And the Spurs, if they win that game, it's because they got up like 43s and they hit like 15 or 16 of them.
It matters more for the Spurs too, if that's any kind of consolation, Knicks.
I don't know. Listen, from talking to James Edwards in the first part of the show, and he brought up the fact that this team, like, they're supposed to be the best in the East. Yeah. And this is the 5th or 6th best team in the West.
I guess you could do the test thing.
I think that there's some pressure here. Yeah. And I think that I want them to win. I want the Knicks to win. Like, I think that they should want to win. This is supposed to be a serious title team. Yeah. They should come into this game and try to crush the Spurs if they can. I just don't know. I think that the talent is closer than we would have thought 3 months ago. I didn't think the Spurs were going to look like this right now.
I didn't either.
And now I'm like, can the Knicks hang with the Spurs? That's an interesting question. I think that when you look at the way that they can guard up front with Jalen Brunson, against Jalen Brunson,
just go to our prediction moment in October.
That's true.
I said 50 plus wins and a 6 seed for the Spurs.
Yeah, and it felt crazy, but that's once again ahead of the curve. All right, Jared. Well, guys, go and read Jared at The Athletic. Again, you heard he does great work, X's and O's and behind the scenes stuff. Thanks to James Edwards. For Es Baraheni and Jared Weiss, I'm Dave DuFour, and this has been the NBA Daily. Thanks for listening.